In a world that rushes, we pause. In a time full of noise, we choose meaning. Welcome to Cupful of Calm with Naila Qayyum, a quiet space for curious minds and thoughtful hearts. And now, it's time for another refreshing episode, a new journey steeped in insight, stirred with calm, and served with care. So settle in, let's begin. Some stories come into our lives quietly and then never leave us. John Green's novel, The Fault in Our Stars, is one such story. First published in 2012, it became more than a bestseller. It became a mirror to human fragility, love, and hope. At its heart is Hazel, Grace Lancaster, a 16-year-old girl living with terminal thyroid cancer. Hazel is intelligent, witty, and reflective. She carries her oxygen tank everywhere, calling it a constant reminder of her limits. Yet behind her sarcasm lies a girl who fears being a grenade, someone whose death will devastate the people she loves. Then there is Augustus Waters, 17, charming and dramatic, a former basketball player who lost his leg to osteosarcoma. Augustus hides his fear of oblivion beneath humor and grand gestures. Unlike Hazel, who dreads hurting others, Augustus wants desperately to be remembered. Their story begins at a cancer support group, where laughter, pain, and love slowly entwine, bonding over Hazel's favorite novel, An Imperial Affliction. They embark on a journey that takes them all the way to Amsterdam, hoping for answers from the book's reclusive author. But instead of clarity, they find disappointment. And yet, in the city's quiet canals, they also find love, intimacy, and a promise of infinity within their numbered days. The story shifts when Augustus reveals that his cancer has returned. The strong, playful boy becomes frail, while Hazel, once afraid of attachment, becomes his anchor. Their roles reverse, but their love deepens. Augustus dies, leaving Hazel heartbroken, yet transformed. In his final letter, he reminds her that their brief love still mattered, still counted, still was infinite. The book's title is drawn from Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. But here, John Green challenges the idea. For Hazel and Augustus, illness was written in the stars, beyond their control. What remained within their power was how they chose to live, laugh, and love despite it. Symbols enrich the narrative. Augustus's unlit cigarette, the killing thing, you don't give the power to kill you, becomes ironic when cancer, not the cigarette, takes his life. Hazel's constant oxygen tank symbolizes dependence and survival, and An Imperial Affliction, the book within the book, mirrors Hazel's fears of unfinished lives and unanswered endings. At its core, The Fault in Our Stars is not a tragedy about dying young, but a story about living deeply. It reminds us that love, no matter how short, is infinite. Hazel ends with a simple, quiet line, "I am okay." And in that small declaration, the reader finds both grief and hope. 2 years after the book's release, Hollywood brought Hazel and Augustus to the screen. In 2014, The Fault in Our Stars became a film directed by Josh Boone, starring Shailene Woodley as Hazel and Ansel Elgort as Augustus. Shailene Woodley gave Hazel a delicate balance of wit and vulnerability. With her oxygen tube always visible, she captured the weary wisdom of a teenager who has seen too much of life. Her performance earned wide praise for its honesty and restraint. Opposite her, Ansel Elgort brought Augustus to life with charisma, warmth, and boyish charm. His ability to shift from confident humor to heartbreaking fragility mirrored Augustus's decline and made his character unforgettable. Supporting them was Nat Wolff as Isaac, the blind best friend whose heartbreak and sarcasm added both comic relief and poignancy. Laura Dern and Sam Trammell, as Hazel's parents, portrayed the quiet agony and resilience of caregivers watching their child fade. The film stayed remarkably faithful to the book's heart. Many of John Green's original lines, now iconic, were carried into the screenplay. Scenes in Amsterdam, especially the moment under the Anne Frank house attic and the romantic kiss by the canal, were filmed with tenderness and respect. Yet what gave the film its staying power was not just its fidelity to the plot, but its atmosphere, the soft lighting, the use of music, and the unhurried pacing all mirrored the novel's balance of humor and sorrow. The soundtrack, featuring artists like Ed Sheeran, carried the emotional tone beyond the screen. The movie received positive reviews from critics and became a box office success, grossing over $300 million worldwide. For fans, it was not simply an adaptation, it was a continuation of the emotional experience they first felt in John Green's words. In both book and film, The Fault in Our Stars remains a reminder that love, however fragile, has the power to outlast. It is a tragedy laced with humor, a romance shadowed by illness, and above all, a story that whispers, even in pain, there is beauty. Even in loss, there is infinity. Stories like The Fault in Our Stars stay with us because they are not just about characters on a page or actors on a screen. They are about us, our fears, our hopes, our fragile lives, and our desire to love and be loved. Hazel and Augustus remind us that we don't need decades to make our lives meaningful. Sometimes the smallest moments, a laugh with a friend, a quiet night under the stars, or even reading a favorite book, can be infinite. The book gave us words that continue to echo. Some infinities are bigger than other infinities. And the movie gave us faces and voices that made those words even more real. Together they tell us that even in endings, there can be beauty, and even in loss, there can be love. As Hazel whispers in the final line, I am, okay, we too are invited to believe that grief doesn't have the last word, that love, however brief, lingers, and that sometimes the most fragile stories are also the strongest, reminders of what it means to be human. Perhaps that is why The Fault in Our Stars continues to shine, not because it gives us answers, but because it teaches us to live with the questions and to hold on to the infinities hidden inside our days. If this calm resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share and drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. And to stay tuned for more soulful segments, stories, and slow sips of thought, subscribe and tap the bell icon. Because here at Cupful of Calm, the quiet is never empty.